All right.
All right. And welcome, everyone. So glad to have you here. It's another glorious morning in the Seattle area. We actually have sunshine. I love it. So, welcome. So glad you could join us today. So what if a simple act of turning our stream to active. Hang on a second. I just lost my screen. Ah, we are being plagued by technical difficulties. Okay, so what if the simple act of tuning into our stream today could active something inside of you to overwrite any outdated programming that of you procrastinating when you know you should be taking action of some kind. Um, we think that it's possible. And now all you need to do is stick around and find out how to connect with your inspired spirit and let your true brilliance shine through. I'm Ross Arnson, and this is my partner Gary Johnson, and this is Hacking the Infinity Matrix, episode 85. And our topic is how to get inspired by spirit and bypass habits of procrastination.
So, by show of participation, how many of you here find that procrastination is something you deal with on a regular basis? Okay, go ahead and tell us in the chat what it is you procrastinate around, and how often do you notice that you're doing it? And let's say how many times per week for some of you, or you might even log them multiple times per day. Right? Just go ahead and tell us in the chat so we get a feel for the audience today. And I'm waiting for my chat. I know there's a delay on my end, and I'm waiting for it to join up here.
I'm not seeing the feed on Facebook.
Well, it says we are. Oh, yeah. Here, hold on. No, I got to push one more button. Okay, hold on. There we go. It's these dang Facebook. There we go. It said we were going live, and now the button, I had to push it again. Okay, there we go. Now we are officially on the live button.
You did see the parentheses where it said maybe.
Right. Thanks, Facebook. So once again.
So just so y'all know, pretty much
take
don't
two.
plan this stuff very well. All right. There's everybody. There we go. There we go.
Now they're chiming in. There we go. All right. So let's start off again, Ross, because again, Facebook is throwing these wrenches at us.
Okay, we're just having fun side on this side of the camera because technology is just a wonderful thing when it works. So we want to welcome everybody. And I just want to ask you, what if the simple act of tuning into our stream today could activate something inside of you to overwrite any outdated programming that has you procrastinating when you know you should be taking action of some kind? We think that it's possible. And now all you need to do is stick around and find out how to connect with your inspired spirit and let your true brilliance shine through. I'm Ross Arnson. This is my partner, Gary Johnson. And this is Hacking the Infinity Matrix, episode 85. And our topic is how to get inspired by spirit and bypass habits of procrastination.
So by show of participation, how many of you here find that procrastination is something you deal with on a regular basis? Okay, let us know in the chats. Tell us, what it is you procrastinate around, and even how often you notice that you're doing it. Let's say, tell us how many times per week, for example, or for some of you, you might even log it multiple times per day, right? That's possible. So go ahead and tell us in the chat so we can gonna get a feel for the audience here today. How many times And there's a delay in the responses. So tell us how many times you experience this phenomena of procrastination, and what specifically thing it's around. We get an idea. Daily,
Oh,
Sal says. 24/7. Stuart. Wendy says, yep, every day. Okay, so you guys are going to love the stream today then.
so now you know
All
why
right.
we created today's show, today's
Yeah.
topic.
So for those of you who haven't responded and are contemplating to procrastinate, telling us your number,
I'll tell you later.
why don't you then, instead of telling us that, why don't you start off the weekly location check and tell us in the comments where in the world you're tuning in from today. And everybody else can do that as well. Just tune in, let us know the city and the location so we get an idea for the global audience. So we see where in the world people are procrastinating the most.
We can see if we can see a pattern here.
Yeah. There's
What country or city is the most procrastinating in the world?
Yeah, that's right. Well, Dallas, Texas. All right. Welcome, Wendy.
Hey,
And
Wendy.
Estelle for Oregon. Oh, it's a couple Oregons. And Florida. Yeah. Oh, 3 from Oregon. Wow. We go. Well, okay. Maybe Oregon's a procrastination state. We'll have to make up a bumper sticker or something. All right.
We might give Oregon one of those Facebook.
Oh, there's another Hillsboro, Oregon. And there's Nevada. Awesome. Welcome, everybody, for joining us today. All right. So we're going to try something different today. All right. For those of you who would like some help around your procrastination challenges, we're going to do an extension to the stream today. We have never done this before, so it's the first time we're testing it out. There's a potential new format where after the stream, we're going to open up a Zoom link for you to get on a call live with us so that we can help you work out some issues and some clarity around your procrastination, potentially even getting over some of them, to work with you in a more personal way on a live Zoom call. If you're interested in joining us on that, we'll do it. It'll be about an extra 20 or 30 minutes after the stream that we're on there with you, and it'll be live. But only for those who are serious and want that type of support. I want you to go ahead and drop a hashtag #GetInspired in the chat, and we'll send you the Zoom link to join us for after the stream is done, so you can jump on that with us and have that live interaction. Hashtag #GetInspired in the chat, and then Ross and I will take turns sharing the link with those of you. Oh, there's a couple coming in. Great. Okay. Yeah, it's a good way. What we want to do is the idea is we want to create more scenarios for you that you have opportunity to implement what we're teaching you guys and going through on a weekly basis. We're finding there's still some level of disconnect in it, and we want to. It's almost kind of like we become your accountability buddies, where we work with you on something, and then we get on a call after where we hold you accountable to understanding the stuff, and then how do you implement it so you get the results, to get a deeper level and a more even faster impact of the transformations that you're looking for. All right. So we want you to understand that it's the implementation part of today's stream. So we're still going to give you some great content, and that's to help you to do the implementation if you need that support. And it won't be live streamed, so we won't be streaming it anywhere. So if you're not on the Zoom, you won't be able to participate. Okay. Throughout the stream today, I am going to interject throughout the stream the 7-step process to help you connect with your inspired spirit and then overwrite those programs of procrastination. And then we can cover those again or go over them one-on-one in that Zoom call. Okay. So here's the first step. You might want to take notes. And there we go. Awesome. Great. Okay, you might want to take notes on this. So step 1, I want you to think of one task in one of these. I'm going to mention in a second these what we call 8 dimensions of reality that you keep putting off. Okay, that you keep finding excuses to not do. Right. I just want you to pick one for now. And some of you may have, like you mentioned, multiples. Pick one for now, and then you can duplicate the 7 steps for the others after the stream, or join us on the implementation call after for more support if you need it. And here are the 8 dimensions of reality that I want you to consider in doing that. Okay. All right. So first one, what do you put off in your relationships? Okay, with your family, your friends, your significant other, whatever the relationships you have, what is it that you put off that could be having a negative impact on the connection that you have with those in your life? Okay, enough to tell us right now. I want you just to mention, I want you to think about that and hold that in your mind that as one option. Okay, and then what about the actions what actions do you keep procrastinating around your finances? Okay, your financial situation or circumstances. What actions do you procrastinate, even though you know it's important and perhaps even critical to your financial well-being? Okay, we probably could have asked this a couple months ago, right around tax time, and there probably would have been a bunch of you that had
exactly
that would have had that one.
But we put it off.
Yeah, we put it off to now. Yeah.
So what kind of things do you or should you be doing for your health and wellness? But other things seem to take precedence and you don't get around to it. So jot that down. Or how about that thing you've been sitting on for some time, even though you know it will bring huge returns in your personal development or your self-growth? It's just been sitting there. It's like, whether it be, I mean, it can be any kind of thing. You just it's that thing that you just see it out of the corner of your eyes. Yeah, I'll get to it. When are you going to get around to contributing and giving back for the sake of giving? What type of charity have you been putting off for too long?
So I also noticed Cindy mentioned broadcast keeps cutting out. Is that the case for all of you guys? Is it flowing well, audio and video? Let us know in the chats just so we see if maybe it's just Cindy is having some connection stuff on her end. Hopefully everybody gets
just drop it down in the chat and we'll call Mark Zuckerberg and talk to him.
Yeah, well, yes, not cutting out for me. Okay, good. All right. Okay, good. So we've got the relationships area, we got the finances area, we got the health and wellness area, we got personal development and self-growth area, and we got charity area where you could be potentially putting things off for. Some of you will have an easier time with this one and some won't. What is the playtime activity that you just never get around to doing for whatever reason, right? Something else becomes more important than you and your playtime. That thing that you want to do just for the sheer fun of it. That's what I'm talking about. What do you keep putting that off? And it could be, pampering yourself. It could be whatever, but it's that playtime thing. And I'm curious, how many entrepreneurs are there out there on the stream? I'm wondering, how many of you here are entrepreneurs? Just mention in the chat, work at home or something. That I'm an entrepreneur. Just in the chat, just so we get an idea, because we know that from an entrepreneur perspective that procrastination is a common thing. Okay, very common, maybe too common than it needs to be, right? And then if that's the case for you, I want you to, have there been any career-focused things that you put off lately? Maybe even this morning. And for those of you who got a quote unquote, so there are a few entrepreneurs, and Dina gives us the hand to face emoji. That's awesome. Oh, great. We had a few entrepreneurs. Okay. So, what are some career-focused things that maybe you put off lately? All right. And for those of you who've got a quote unquote regular job, is there a mounting pile of tasks that you hope will magically disappear one day in your office or on your desk? Okay. And finally, the last, but certainly not the least dimension of reality is, what have you been neglecting in your area of your spirituality, your connection with source, whatever that is for you? Okay. Now, you don't need to answer for all of them, even if you do have some. You don't need to. What I want you to do is I want you to consider them and choose just one for today's live stream steps and then use that as the thought process as we're going through the 7 steps today. All right. So go ahead and give me your favorite emoji in the chat, so I know that you got at least one thing that you can think of that you've been good at procrastinating. Okay, that you've gotten really good at it.
Really good, like lots of practice.
You don't have to tell us what it is, what that thing is. I just want you to have give me an emoji so you can kind of get an idea of what that thing is. There we go. We got some hearts and stuff.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there they come.
Great,
There they
great.
come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm going to tell you, yes, you have a superpower, and it's a superpower that you've overlooked for years. And at the same time, we're going to prove to you that it exists and how it will eliminate any further procrastination in your life. Because we've all been there at one time or another. At some point, everyone puts off, and sometimes that's okay. If it's a conscious choice, a decision based on facts or the evaluating of new circumstances, events, or situations, then, okay. It's a decision. It's part of a replanning. So here's the thing, though. There are procrastinators and there are professional procrastinators. Those who chronically avoid difficult and or the boring tasks, or are easily distracted by shiny objects, or evade the duties for more of the fun stuff they want. And I don't mean like Disneyland fun stuff, but just something that they have now elevated to a level just higher than the task at hand. It used to be down here, but it's like, oh no, I think this is I need to do this now. So you're deliberately looking for distractions. And people who take procrastination to a whole new level, they're the ones who choose to say, it's how I am and I can't change it. And to a certain extent, procrastination can tend to reflect a person's struggles with self-control. For habitual procrastinators, who represent about 20% of the population, the term "I don't feel like it" comes to take precedence over goals or responsibilities and can set you down on a downward spiral of negative emotions that further deter any future efforts. And we've spoken about the cause and effect of negative emotions in earlier live streams, and we'll be touching on them again later on today. We'll also be dabbling in on some of them on this month's interview with James Jensen, author of Expand the Power of the Subconscious Mind. And that's going to be not next Thursday, but the Thursday after, June 30th. And that's our new interview series. We haven't come up with a name yet, but we're pretty darn close. So researchers define procrastination as a form of self-regulation failure, characterized by the irrational delay of tasks despite potentially negative consequences. In other words, I choose to do this, even though I know it's bad for me. I choose. No matter how well organized and committed you are, chances are you have found yourself frittering away hours of trivial distractions, watching TV or updating your Facebook status, shopping online. And when you should have been spending that time on work, school, home, or related projects, or quality time with loved ones. Procrastination doesn't just affect schoolwork and paperwork and the nasty stuff. It's the stuff with that, the ones in your family and your friends. Whether you're putting off finishing a project for work or avoiding homework assignments or ignoring household chores, procrastination can have a major impact on your job and on your grades and your life and others' perception of you. At some level, it involves a degree of self-deception because procrastinators are aware of their actions or lack thereof, and the consequences, and the emotional pain and the self-doubt. We don't know if anybody who is truly truly proud of their procrastinating habits. But because they can just justify the time that anyone can waste in this finite life. Can you imagine that? When you really start to think about it. So can you see how this makes a person feel about themselves? Maybe you felt like this yourself, or you know someone. Okay, give me a thumbs up or something in the emojis or whatever. If you're kind of identifying some piece of this has touched a nerve, or touched a big nerve, or touched several nerves.
Yeah, we got a bunch. We got Dina says, Dina or Dinah, I'm not sure, says, yikes, too true. And Vicky says she's a professional. And there's a bunch of professionals in here. And okay, video keeps crashing, Wendy says. Now that's Facebook, people. We don't, I mean, we're seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we can do about that, but that's a Facebook streaming platform doing something.
Persevere, Dina. So you've got she also puts it's a big nerve. Yeah, well, so we get it. We understand. We really, really do.
So bear with us with the video thing if you guys are noticing. Those of you that are noticing it. I also noticed, Ross, that it's cutting off some of the original, like some of the chats. I don't have access to some of the earlier. So some of you did type in the hashtag get inspired to jump on the Zoom call with us. If you missed that earlier, if you type in hashtag get inspired.
I have Eva written down. That's the only one that I actually saw that came through.
Yeah, so hashtag get inspired, and then we'll make sure you get the direct link to jump on a Zoom with us for the call, the implementation call after this. And I actually, just because I didn't see those previous comments, I did drop the link in the chat. So if you look for it, there's a Zoom link in the chats that'll get you to jump on that as well for us. So. And again, that'll be about 20 or 30 minutes where you get one-on-one with us, where Q&A, it's live, and it's not streamed anywhere. It's just us working with you on that.
And Dina puts down, I do know I can change this. And it's like, you're 80% there.
We all know we can change it.
I don't know that. So it's like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so think back to that procrastination thing that you decided you're going to focus on. Okay, and here's step 2. I'd like you to think about how you would know when you're experiencing the completed outcome that you desire. Okay, so whatever it is you're putting off, how would you know when that has been completed, right? Where would you be when you could verify that it's done? Start to think about this. What kind of things would you see around you? Okay, can you think of the time of day or even a specific date when you could envision it being done? What would you be saying to yourself? What would others be saying to you about you or about the completion of the outcome? Okay, and how would it feel? Do your best to really connect with the feelings of knowing that you followed through and you got it done. Just put yourself in that type of imaginary type scenario, just to contemplate what that reality could look like for you. And the more you can get a clear vision of the completed outcome and fully connect with the emotions that you'll have when you've experienced the completion, the more powerful the rewiring will be, right down to the cellular level of your reality. So I want you just to sit with it and let it move through your mind and your body to activating the right thoughts, the right ideas, and even the right attitudes to help you to get fully inspired in the way that you've never been before to get it done.
Exactly.
That's step 2.
The reality is that if you wait until you're in the right frame of mind to do a certain task, especially the undesirable ones, you will probably find the right time simply never comes, and the task never gets completed. Who can identify with this one? Generally, this is because there is a massive energy disconnect between you and the project. So perhaps this is a familiar scenario. So bear with me here. Do you remember when you may have been in school or college or prepping for a big work assignment or anything like that, and you had to write a paper. We're just going to use a school example. So you had to write a paper, and so now when the average student writes a paper, let's say a thesis, they spread the work out because they're supposed to be quite the project, and you would plan to and get started. Maybe you'll get started just a little slowly. Okay, I just want to kind of gel my thoughts, and then you get enough done in the first week, and then some heavier days come later on. So that would be the plan. Easy peasy, right? Did it? Has it? Will it? Does it ever work out that way? What actually happens is that your 90-page senior thesis that you plan things out, like I said earlier, so it started off light and you bumped it up in the middle of the months, and then at the end you would kick it up to higher gears, and then kind of a little stair. It's kind of like a staircase, it's just like boom, boom, boom. Up, pause, up, pause. How hard could it be? We all think that. That's the beginning of the justification. So all I gotta do is go up the stairs. No big deal, right? But then the funniest thing happens. Those first few months that came and went, and you couldn't quite do the stuff as planned. So you develop another plan. All right, I can do this. All right. And then those middle months actually went by and you really didn't write any words. Oh, you thought about them, but you didn't actually put them down anywhere. And well, crap. Well, it's time for another revision of the plan. Then another 2 months goes by. And then that turns into 1 month left. And that turns into 2 weeks left. And then one day you woke up and there's 3 days until your deadline. Still haven't written a single freaking word. And that the only thing that you can do now is very simple. You need to invent time travel. Okay, you need to go back a year and start over again. Or, like all of us do, you're going to write 90 pages over 72 hours, pulling not one, but 2 all-nighters. And that, ladies and gentlemen.
April says, my life in a nutshell.
Thank you for your honesty. But that is your superpower. So, April, you got some stuff going on. Okay. You have the ability to do and complete the task. Your self-doubt has been eliminated because you did it. You see where I'm coming from? All the excuses, all the reasons why, all of a sudden you made them go away and you got it done. So, because humans are not supposed to pull 2 all-nighters or sprint across campus and slide right in under the wire and get it that deadline right then and there, that 1 minute left timestamp. It's just like, you get it all done, you're just like, man, I'm it. I am special. And that's kind of what you start thinking to yourself. I must have superpowers. You convince yourself.
Yep.
And that can actually start a pattern. If I did it once, I can do it again, type of a thing. But I have not said anything about quantity or quality of what you just finished in 72 hours. And and that's your standard to decide. That's your standard, not ours. Our intention is to give you the required time to satisfactorily complete the task, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. So Estelle says that she works better under pressure. Allison says, this is gold already. And April says, obsessed with an A+ at the master's level help too. Yeah, if you have that bigger vision, which is what we're talking about, right? If you have that vision of it completing and what it gets you, that's definitely one of the components. But if we can do that without the negative impact of the procrastination, that's what we're shooting for here,
Right.
right?
We're just
So we know you're superhuman. Yeah,
exactly.
we totally understand that you're superhuman. We get that, and we agree with that. So let's check in with step 3 in the process and realize that in order for this thing you put off or keep delaying that bothers you, in order for it to bother you, it's because some part of you has an idea of what the end result is or what you'd like it to be, at least conceptually, right? What it's supposed to be like. It's like there's a tension from the reality you exist in, feeling that gap in between the other reality that you want to be in. But something's keeping you apart. Okay? Something energetically, something emotionally, something physically, something is keeping you apart from that reality that you want to step into. So step 3, which is alignment with what April was talking about, is step 3 is I want you to start to look at the gap, okay, between where you are and where you want to be. And start to take some notes, mentally or physically. Write it out. Make notes of what needs to happen for you to go from where you are in this reality into the reality where you have the completed outcome that you actually desire. Okay, and I'm not talking about the cheeky ego charged response of, oh well, I just need to do it. That's how it, like that quick sharp answer. The reality is, if all you needed to do was just do it, you freaking do it. That's the reality. Okay, if that was all there was between those two realities, then it wouldn't be an issue. So something is in the gap there. And it's when you've understood and even sometimes sorted out all the things in between that procrastination, that's when procrastination just dissolves. Because then there's literally no thing in the way of you getting it done. Right? So be bold, be honest with yourself, and be open to allow any transformation to happen in the way they need to for you. When you're doing this reflection, doing this assessment of what's in between you and that reality. Okay? No need to get caught up in any of the fears or doubts or concerns at this step. That's not this is just, I just want you to notice it. And if you notice any of those things, just make a note, because step 3 is really just an inventory check of the things between the you are now and the you want to be after that procrastination has dissipated.
Exactly.
So that's step number 3.
So April puts, admittedly, that was when I was in academia. Now as a hang on a second. Now as an artist and a teacher, I'm all over the place. I'm like, and here's what we're gonna really get into a little in just a little bit, but you definitely need to be on the Zoom call later. There is no difference.
Yeah.
That's part of the what you really need to really understand. There is no difference. So going back to the all-nighter scenario. So you've proven you can actually accomplish the task. And we propose that you change your energy connected with the task, whatever it might be. Now that you've proven it can be done, it's a matter of redirecting your superpower simply to another section of the timeline. I know what you're thinking, but changing all this is even greater effort than just completing the task at hand. But does it really take more energy? So we're going to get into that a little bit later as well. So first, let's try to understand why there is procrastination. Why put yourself through all this stress and anxiety, jeopardizing your grades, your promotion, that new client account,
The relationship,
your relationships? So much is on the line. So many procrastinators can often be classified as perfectionists, for whom it may be psychologically more acceptable to never tackle a job than to face the possibility of not doing it well.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely Understand that one. They may be so highly concerned about what others think of them that they put their futures at risk to avoid judgment, while others contend that they perform better under pressure. Who said that earlier? But while
Mm-hmm.
they may be able to convince themselves of that, research does show that it generally is not the case. Instead, they may make a habit of last minute work to experience that rush of euphoria at seemingly having overcome the odds. And here is the time to choose quantity over quality situations. So, this behavior is driven by a variety of thoughts and habits, but fundamentally, we avoid tasks or put them off because we do not believe we'll enjoy doing them and therefore have an energy disconnect. And many want to avoid making themselves unhappy or may fear that they won't do well, justifying justifying it kind of with a like a fuzzy logic of, I'd rather do this if I'm just going to fail at it. And it's like, well, that, when they say it out loud, it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, well, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, I personally, I don't. So another reason people may also procrastinate is because they are confused by the complexity of a task, like doing taxes. Oh, I used to be horrible at it, and that. This is going to reflect back into the something that we'll do on delegation down the road.
But Ross, that's back when you had to use the abacus.
I had those little beads all over the floor. It won't add up. Because that overwhelm can paralyze us. We just like, I don't know where to start. And we've talked about chunking down projects and stuff like that in the past, and we'll probably revisit that too. So, or there's also the imagined, the assumed, or the possible outcome of the task. Okay, that can be construed as negative. Let's look at taxes. I don't want to do my taxes not because they're complicated, it's because if I get them done, that means I'm going to have to pay somebody, or I'm going to have to pay out money. There's some negative connotation that's attached to the outcome of accomplishing the task.
Yeah, it's the emotion around it, right? And the confusion
Exactly.
of the emotions around it. So
Right.
in step 4, it's important to just acknowledge any of those feelings or thoughts that are unpleasant or even overwhelming in those things you found in the gap between realities. So in step 3, we found the gap stuff. We want to look at and we want to acknowledge the feelings or thoughts that are either unpleasant or overwhelming. Because the reason you want to acknowledge them is because if you try to avoid them or ignore them, they'll only get stronger. They'll get scarier and even more insurmountable. Or even worse, they'll get more elusive and sneaky with resources to hide in the subconscious shadows. And so you don't even know why it's happening. It just shows up, and after the fact, when you don't get the result or outcome that you want, you just keep beating yourself up, and that cycle continues. Right? So when you own up to them and acknowledge them, there's nowhere to hide and really no need to either. Right? It allows you the opportunity to recognize whatever those elements are in the gap and understand they showed up or were put there by some part of you for a reason. Right? It's the way that they're dealing with that reason and showing up as a behavior that may not be positive, but the intention is positive. So if you think of it like a friend who believes what they're doing is in your best interest, but because of the circumstances, they were limited in their resources to help you out. So they did the first thing that came to mind. without thinking that it could cause harm or difficulty that would step into your reality of the desire you want. Right? So step 4 is the start of being more compassionate with yourself and with others that might be a part of this procrastination programming. Okay? And when you are more compassionate with yourself, you'll take care of all of you in a more ecological way. You are more willing to cross that gap with a win-win-win strategy. So go ahead and acknowledge whatever is unpleasant, challenging, or even overwhelming in those steps in between those two realities that as it's come up for you so far. Okay? Tia says, living in a reality which you never knew existed and being able to stay on track with the goals and dreams you strive to succeed in is really hard. Especially, because you're not following the truth of what's in alignment with what your greatness is, right? You're actually going against that, especially when you know what you need to get done, but don't know what direction to take. Yeah, so it's and where to find the resources. And part of that, though, is by shutting off from even looking at those. And so when you're hiding from the reality of those worries, those concerns, those fears, and those emotions, they can blind you from other options. And so that's why we need to acknowledge them and honor that, hey, that's there. I'm concerned about this, or I have this worry, or I have this fear, or I'm overwhelmed. When you accept that, you then start to be in control of it instead of it in control of you. Right?
All right. So why do people procrastinate when they know that it'll only make things more difficult in the end? So researchers have a term for this. It's called time inconsistency, which refers to a human behavior that tends to value immediate rewards more highly than future rewards. Sound familiar? Ladies and gentlemen, this is at epidemic levels in society today. So in a nutshell, they believe that people let instant gratification get in the way of their longer term tasks or goals. And again, I might add, regardless of the negative outcome. Regardless. Most studies are aimed at students or young adults, but what about procrastinating older adults? This is for all of you who, this doesn't apply to me.
And then there's the really older adults.
Although research indicates that we procrastinate less as we age, Gary, there are some variables that contribute to older adults delaying tasks. Okay, variables like perceived stress, possible depression, and anxiety, fatigue, or lack of energy, and many others. And research is also showing that it is closely linked to rumination or becoming fixated on the negative aspects, the negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Like Gary was saying. So, does procrastination serve a purpose? It's a self-defeating behavior pattern, but many people think it can be seen as serving a psychological purpose, especially for people with perfectionist tendencies. Who was it that said that in the? There was a couple of people that posted that in the text. So because it protects the individual against fear of failure, judgment of others, and self-condemnation. Avoiding unpleasant work by devoting energy to other tasks like organizing or cleaning. It's just like, you want to get me to clean the kitchen? Fine, give me a task that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
The kitchen is spotless. I said, and it also helps procrastinators avoid feeling unproductive, although they will have to pay the price for it later. Who's identifying with this? Just
we got a ton of hearts and all kinds of comments and stuff going.
So we're predicting how we'll feel in the future is known as effective forecasting, and people People tend to do this really badly. This is just the research that's showing. Again, we've created just this hamster wheel. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this and this and this. Oh yeah, this will work, and it doesn't work. Oh, that was that time. This time will be different. There's the perfect phrase. This time will be different. So we justify our actions, and justification is the means of showing something to be right or reasonable, regardless of the true reality. I know I didn't get to my report done, but hey, my oven's clean. I'll skip my workout until tomorrow, but I'll run twice the distance.
Yeah.
Okay, and another example is procrastinators may feel bad about not having exercised. Okay, I didn't exercise today, but they may raise their mood by predicting that they will do it tomorrow. Thus, they avoid feeling negative emotions in the moment,
Yep.
but make the cycle more likely to repeat. Because when tomorrow comes, what do you think is going to happen? How many times have you done this? When we procrastinate, we do so to avoid an unpleasant or aversive task. And putting off this aversive task saves us from the unpleasant emotions associated with it. We feel
Or at
better.
least the perceived unpleasantness, right?
Exactly. And we feel better. Okay. Yeah. At least for the moment. And typically when we put it off a task, we make some new intention related to the task for the future, which is the famous, I'll get to that tomorrow.
And so in step five in the process, this is where some real transformations can occur, right? And this is where you start to shorten and even eliminate the gap that we talked about, okay? But it can also be where you bump up against some resistance at first, because this is where you want to tap into your creative resources. And if you don't believe you are creative or have the ability to be objective and take different perspectives, then bring someone into the mix that you can trust, that will have your best interest at heart, and that you respect their insights.
The power of coaching.
Right?
Yeah.
And what you're going to do is take those things in the gap that you notice or might that you believe might be unpleasant, challenging, or overwhelming, and explore some creative solutions around them. Solutions that could be enjoyable, solutions that could be reasonable, right? To see if those solutions would be successful in clearing the path and eliminating the gap. So it's essentially saying, okay, I know that these things are there. I understand they have they're there for a reason. What's the reason? What's the emotion? What's the thing that it wants? And then how can we get that without the procrastination, without the delay, without the pressure, without all the negative stuff that comes up? What are some other possibilities and still get that outcome that you want? And so sometimes it may take a while to come up with these things that'll work, but when you find the things that inspire your spirit, the behavior of procrastination in that circumstance just won't be there in your future anymore. It literally can't exist.
So Stuart says his life is a Groundhog Day. So, I get it, man. I really, really do. And Estelle asked a very good question. Why are we so afraid of unpleasant emotions? That's a really good answer. That's a good question.
It's a loaded one for a rabbit hole. That'd be a good one for rabbit hole.
Exactly. So going back to the exercise example I gave. So what they found is that that when people were supposed to exercise, but procrastinated instead, they reported having fewer positive emotions. Okay. They weren't energized, excited, but having more negative emotions, they became more lazy, tired, burdened, guilty, resentment, low motivation, and low commitment. And doing this. However, on making a new intention to exercise in the future, their mood recovered, as did their motivation and their commitment. So the ratings reflected a strong belief that their future self would be more motivated and committed to exercise, and that this was associated with them feeling good again. Whether you think of it as a bias or a self deception, it is clear that our predictions about the future, I would, Gary, would you agree they're a little bit overly optimistic? So, in effect, the preliminary results of these studies say that something, what I think we all well know: hope springs eternal. I'll feel more like it tomorrow. And we believe this over and over and over again. And thus the bad habit sets in. So again, we justify that our present self isn't feeling like exercising. Instead, we convince ourselves our future self will feel like exercising. And this makes us feel better, much better. This also reveals a strong relation to feeling good about the revised intention and how we predict we'll feel when it comes time to exercise. So, in other words, the present plays a role in our procrastination for the future. I feel good now about my future intention, so I predict I'll feel good in the future. Unfortunately, when a future self becomes present self, we once again needlessly delay our exercise, putting it off yet again to a new future self. Even if we have trouble believing it, it's a common story. And it becomes a downward spiral of the procrastination habit. It's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. I used to do so much of this. That was my superpower. Wait, what you say? What did I say? You guys did this? Yes. As I've said many times, Gary said it, I have said it. We have suffered, endured, and overcome many, if not most, of the things that we teach. And who better to learn from than someone who's already walked the path? I said, do you think we made up the lesson plan for the ultimate badass challenge from reading a book? I said, pulling the stuff out of our badass. We've experienced it, we've felt it, we've sweat it, we've cried it, and ultimately dared ourselves to be better and overcame that which hindered us.
Yeah. Now, yeah, certainly there have been many times in my life where I've had to call upon my badass self to show up, step up, and do what needs to be done. And the next step in today's formula is how you start to recode the programming that has been established for procrastination. So here's how you do it. Think back to that dimension of reality you chose at the beginning of the stream today, okay? And in step 6, I want you to start to mentally rehearse what it would be like for the future you who has completed that thing you used to procrastinate. In fact, imagine that future you comes back in time. Remember Ross talked about the time travel thing? This is how you're going to do it. Imagine that future you comes back in time and visits you at night. And you welcome that future you into your thoughts. And it shares how amazing it is to have that thing accomplished, done with, off your table, off your shoulders, completed, done, whatever the outcome is. And because you are so welcoming of this transformation, that future you also shares both conscious and unconscious ways of going through your days with more ease and flow. More ways to be fully aligned with your deepest passions and purpose. Living life with more meaning, and always striving to be better than you were yesterday in every way. And if you do that on a nightly basis, if you start to have that future self come to you, the what you want to step into in the next day, in the next 24 hours, the next 48 hours, the next 72 hours, have that future self come to you and kind of give you that guidance. Here's what would need to happen. Here's what you need to think. Here's what you need to feel. Here's some things that might support you. Here's some things you might want to avoid. Be open to that communication. Whether you call it your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, your spirit, your guiding force, whatever, I don't really care. As long as the process is there to serve and support you on a path that gives you more alignment with your deepest passions and purpose.
One of the biggest factors that contributes to procrastination is that notion that at a particular moment we have to feel inspired or motivated in order to do something. So you have the challenge of two beliefs. First, am I really too tired and unmotivated to exercise today? Or second, will I really feel more like it tomorrow? Okay.
Let me add a third one in there, Ross.
Sure.
Or is my tiredness because I'm resisting the truth of who I am in the natural flow of what I should be doing?
Exactly. And the answer of all these questions is apparently no. I can say this with relative confidence only because you've already done it, and probably recently. What many are missing is the key piece. Motivation follows action.
Mm-hmm.
So the trick is to find a low threshold entry point into the action. When it comes to exercise, it can simply mean putting on your sneakers and stepping outside or up or up onto an exercise machine. No expectations, no promises for how long. It's just a simple action that gets you started and primes the pump. And fortunately, there are a number of different things that you can do to fight procrastination. Start getting things done on time or done altogether before proceed on any given project or task. Slow down, take a moment, and ask yourself, how motivated am I to complete this? Is my energy aligned to complete the task? And if not, what shall I do to create or enhance the alignment? What small action step can I take now? Continue this until a mental transition occurs from doing the task to being the task. And as we've said, instead of the memes of just do it, we believe that you should just be it. And I'm telling you, it sounds so simple, but it is so powerful and it works. So take this moment and take action and register for Saturdays Down the Rabbit Hole, or definitely on today's Zoom as well, where we will continue today's topic or any of our topics that we bring up. It's a free Zoom call, and we're here every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time.
It's free. There's no charge. Just like the call after this, there's no obligation. Just come and join us. We want to help and support and have a conversation.
Yeah, it's a one-on. It's not a one-on-one. It's kind of a it's very interactive, and it only streams in the private group, but anyone can participate. So don't procrastinate. Move into action now. And one of the things I just added to today too is that for anybody who's on the Zoom call today after this show, I'm going to send you the link for what we call a life calendar. And do you recall earlier when I was talking about how our life is very finite? Well, the life calendar, if it doesn't open your eyes about today's topic, well, just wait. I said, it is mind-blowing.
Right. And the final step, 7, is the easiest of them all. Okay. Once you've done the imagining of your future self coming back to share all of its wisdom and give you the guidance you need, all you need to do is just breathe. Right? You're going to take 3 deep breaths, 1 breath to feed your life into your body, and then exhale slowly. Then another to feed life, to breathe in deep again to feed life and nourish your mind and your emotions, and then exhale slowly. And the 3rd breath is to connect or reconnect with your spirit, your life force, your connection with the divine, whatever that is for you. Because when you have that connection, when you have that flowing through your mind, through your emotions, through your body, you're going to find you'll have the energy, you'll have the creativity, you'll find the resources, and you will be truly inspired. So you just breathe, allow that, and then exhale. And then feel that's a sense of letting go from any attachments to things happening in any specific way or structured ways. Welcome and allow the miracle that is you to be true to yourself and live your life with purpose and passion every single day. And then look for opportunities to be inspired by spirit and bypass any habits of procrastination, because they'll start to show up. You're going to start to notice them. You'll start to notice you're doing more things, you're getting more things done, you're feeling happier, you have more energy. All those things will start to fall into place. Okay, so now there you have it. Remember, this is going to be a practice. It's like a muscle that you need to work on and develop. You start small, and think of it like a small weight that can create the strength you'll need to create inspired actions in your future. So, definitely jumping onto our challenge, our 5-day badass challenge, which we're going to be doing in a few weeks. And you want to keep an eye out for that and jump on that if you're not already in that private group. And also, if you want to join us for the integration call, I've dropped the link in the chat quite a few times. Just click the link, jump on, register for the call, jump on the Zoom call. If you want some help or you have some questions that you want us to answer in regards to the steps or procrastination in specific, just if you want to jump in and dive deeper into this topic, go ahead, click the Zoom link. I'll throw it in there again.
I just put it in there for you.
Awesome. Okay, and jump on the Zoom and join us. We'll be switching over from this. We're not streaming that Zoom call anywhere. We'll be ending this streaming, heading over to the Zoom. So give us a couple minutes to make sure we get our cameras and mics working. And then we'll accept everybody in. Whoever shows up, we'll have a great time and we'll see if we can support you. Remember, it won't be streamed, so you won't get access to it unless you're on that Zoom. All right. So till next time, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the stream today.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the participation and comments. We really love it and appreciate it. We'll see you next Thursday, same time, Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to join us for Rabbit Hole, which stream is running down the bottom there, which is an open forum for anything. Any type of conversation or question, and sometimes you even get some one-on-one coaching in there too. It happens depending on what's going on and who shows up. All right, and until next time, we dare you to be exceptional. And remember, the only way to do that is to implement what you learn and learn from what you implement. Okay, be well, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the stream. We'll talk to you next time.
See y'all later. Bye-bye.